Hi, everybody. Welcome to our first Wednesdays with WiFly. I am joining you from Bali, Indonesia. I'm living here right now at the moment. It is very hot, so bear with me. I'm sweating here. It is rainy season, but no rain today, which is good. So I wanted to thank you all for submitting your questions. I'll try to be mindful of time as I go through these. These questions are amazing. I think a lot of you will get a lot of insights from these. They're questions that I often see from people. So why don't we just dive into it? Again, the purpose of our Wednesdays with Wi-Fi is just to give you guys as much value and as much help as we can. So if you have any questions, anything you want to know about this lifestyle, landing clients, starting a business, landing a remote job, email them to kate@wiflynomads.com, post them in the Grind to Greatness Facebook group, and every Wednesday we'll go through them and give you guys the help and support you need so that you can start working remotely and traveling the world. So I'm just going to dive into it here. The first one we have is from Gonzalo. So he's saying, how do you get your first customer or job as remote? I currently work in a marketing company, but I still have trouble finding clients outside of this world. Where do you go? How do you beat people who are competing on price? All the success for this new project. Awesome. Thanks, Gonzalo. So there's a few parts to this question. So let's start with, how do you get your first customers, okay? So a big thing that I see with people is they approach getting a remote job the way that they would approach getting a traditional job. And the traditional process is you see a job posting, you apply. If you're selected, you get an interview, boom, you get a job. Remote is very different. Obviously there's a lot of competition, and you really have to approach it in the sense of building relationships and providing value and seeking out opportunities. And that's where most opportunities will come from. It's very competitive applying for remote jobs. So sometimes it's best that you seek opportunities yourself, whether that's for a full-time position or as a freelancer or as a contractor. So to answer your first question, Gonzalo, so how do you get your first customer? So the approach that we like to use is, if you're a freelancer or contractor, and we've seen a lot of success with this, is first of all, you're going to find companies that you resonate, that you think you can add value to, and keep track of a list of who you're reaching out to. And then you also want to search, so you research the company, get a contact's information there, and then reach out to them. And the way we like to frame the emails that you send to them are there's a bit of a structure. So you want to do a compliment bomb. So just like, hey, I love what you're doing at blah, blah, blah. Your latest blog post was amazing. So you want to compliment them in some way. And then you want to show you've done your research, like, congrats on that latest feature in blah, 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 or congrats on that award, something that shows you've done your research. And then you want to provide them with value. So you want to say, say if you're in marketing, I was looking on your site and I noticed a few things that might help you in terms of, your marketing. You can use, what we like to do is put together a value add piece, is what we call it. So what it would be is like a one-page report where you could put together some stats on their SEO and on their social media, for example. So you can use tools like SpyFU or what was the other one? I'll put it in the Facebook group. There's a couple tools where you can easily pull analytics from like their website or their social media. So you could do, list out the stats on their social media, some things that you find notable. You could put some competitors in there and be like, this competitor is doing really well and they're more active on Facebook, and I notice you guys aren't. Here's some tips and tricks to help you with your Facebook strategy. Just one second here. Hey, sorry, I apologize. So I'm just getting over a cold. I've had a cold for like the last week, so I'm still a little stuffed up, but anyway, sorry about that. So so talking about the email when you reach out, so you do the compliment bomb, we like to call it, show you've done your research, provide value. So putting together like a one-page report, just some simple analytics you can pull. It doesn't take much time, but it shows that you're sort of making yourself stand out, if you're going above and beyond. So put together like a one-page report and just say, I noticed, I noticed X, Y, and Z, so I put together this little report. Hopefully it gives you, some help in terms of, just your social media. Don't approach it in the sense of like, hey, I want to work remotely and I notice you're a remote team. Like, don't even go there. Don't talk about you. Make it all about them. Don't say like, our instinct is to be like, hi, I'm Gonzalo, and I do this and I do that and I do this and I can help you in this way. Don't talk about yourself. Make it all about them. Hey, I noticed this about your social media. Here's some value I can provide you. And then you want to build that relationship. So you want to get them on a call, right? So when you're requesting to get them on a call, be specific. Don't say, hey, do you have some time next week? Because then they're like, I don't know. Oh my God, when's the best time next week? And they're overthinking it. It's best to say, how about I follow up with you on, I'll follow up with you on Wednesday and see if you have any questions, or saying, are you available this Thursday afternoon for a call? Then you're being specific. Then they can say, okay, I either am available then or I'm not. And then you can even say, I know you're busy, a quick yes or no works, and then I can schedule something in. That way, they don't feel like they have to send you this big response. So by sending them, your request should be specific. So it should say like, are you available on Thursday afternoon to jump on a call? So you're being very specific, to the point. It's an answer that they don't have to really overthink. It's an answer that can be answered quick yes or no. You don't want them to be like, having to give you this complicated answer. If you can make it where it's like a yes or no statement, that's even better. It's quicker, easier for them. You're more likely to get a response. That being said, you also want to look at the psychology of this, right? So if you send an email out to somebody, you can approach it a few ways. You can include the value add right away, or you can say, oh, I put together this this report that might help you with your Facebook. I'm more than happy to send it over. Let me know if you'd like to see it, and I'll send it over. And then right there, they're going to say, oh, like, yeah, I want to see this. So they'll respond. And again, doing a quick yes or no, let me know and I'll send it over. And then they're going to respond, okay, yes, I want to see it. And then you send it over. And then they're more likely to respond to you next time because they've already had that engagement with you, right? So sometimes it helps to not necessarily send that value add right away, because then you get them to respond with a yes, and then they're more likely to keep responding to you after they've responded to the initial one. Another approach is like, you can just send the value add and then say, doing a follow-up in terms of like, okay, I'll follow up with you in a few days to see if you have questions. Or, let's hop on a call and I can, explain some more things that might help you guys, that sort of thing. Anyways, I hope that makes sense. So pretty much you want to do like, you want to compliment them, you want to show you've done your research, you want to provide them value, you want to be specific, you want to have a specific request at the end of them, make it easy for them, quick yes or no. Remember, if you can get them to say yes, a quick yes with the first email, then they're going to be more likely to respond to you again because they've already engaged with you. And the biggest thing too is follow up. So many people will reach out and they'll never follow up. The reality is that people are busy. They're busy, and it's not necessarily that they don't want to respond to you. They're just busy, and sometimes it takes that third or fourth follow up where people will finally respond to you. I use Imran as an example. Like Imran, I have people want to work for WiFly all the time, and all they say is me, one email, no value, never follow up. Imran was somebody that followed up consistently. He provided value. He stood out to me because he went above and beyond. No one else has done that. I think I've had maybe one or two other people actually send follow-ups of all the people that try to reach out for jobs, which is crazy. So follow up. If they're not interested, they'll respond and be like, sorry, I'm not interested, or, they will let you know. A tip, you can download a tool called MailTrack. So MailTrack lets you know when someone's opened an email, so you know when to follow up, right? So if you see that they haven't read it for a while, you know that maybe they didn't get it, so send a follow-up. Or maybe you see they've opened it a couple times and, you know, okay, they've opened it a couple times, it's been a few days, I'm going to send a follow-up again. So yeah, so that's great insights into how often they're opening it. Your follow-up should be probably, I would say, within about 3 day point to a week. That's when you should be sending your follow-ups. The stuff that's going to transpire is going to be in the follow-up. Like, it's so important, the follow-up, so just don't forget that. Okay, sorry, that was a mouthful. I'm sorry if I'm talking fast. I'm trying to make sure we can get through everything here, but still give you the information that you need. So yes, try that approach. I've seen such success. Like, we've had one of our participants do that, and the response she got was like, oh my goodness, no one's ever done this. Like, we're so impressed. I have a girl that I coach. She did the same thing. They were super impressed. It really stood out to them. So it's a great way to stand out and to get your first client. So to get your first remote job, this is sort of a loaded question. I'll try to, again, be mindful of time, but try to give you the information that will help. In terms of finding a remote job, keep in mind that the process for a remote job is different than a 9 to 5. You know, resumes, for example, go through an automated tracking system, so like an ATS. So sometimes it's just a computer scanner that's scanning for keywords before it even gets sent to a human. And if your keywords aren't in there, it may not get to a human. So when you're applying for a job, look at the keywords in the position, a remote job, look at the keywords in the position, make sure you include those in your resume, because sometimes if the system doesn't pick up those keywords, your resume won't even get to a person. For remote positions, it's fine. You know, I've interviewed the senior career specialist at FlexJobs, spoken with the HR person at Automatic, which is one of the biggest well-known remote companies. They own WordPress, huge company. Anyways, and you know, in speaking with them, it's fine if you don't have remote experience, but you just need to convey the skill set that they look for in remote people. So remote teams, you know, they're very strong communicators because, you know, your team isn't with you, so you need to be very good at communicating. You need to be a self-starter. You need to be self-motivated. You know, you have the ultimate flexibility. And, you know, it even helps having familiarity with tools, online tools such as Slack and Zoom and Google Drive. Those are tools commonly used by remote teams. And even if you aren't too familiar with it, just download a trial, play around with it a bit, so then at least that way you're not super new to it. And then if they ask you, you can be like, oh yeah, I sort of played around with that tool a bit, I'm a bit familiar, but you know, I'm a very fast learner. And at least it's better than going in blind and being like, oh yeah, I've never used it. You know, there's a lot of free trials and there's a lot of tutorials on YouTube. So get familiar with some of the tools. You don't need to know it in and out, just, you know, play around with it for like 15 minutes. Include those tools on your resume as well, that you have, that you know how to use. So those things help. They look for the attributes of somebody that can work remotely. So just communicate that on your resume. Let's see. So in terms of the resume, in terms of getting a remote job, keep the keywords in mind. Convey the skill sets that they look for in a remote team on your resume. Again, like self-starter, great at communication, those type of things. And in terms of finding a job, I mean, there are sites such as FlexJobs and We Work Remotely and Remote Work OK, or Remote Work. There's a bunch of them. I'll put them in the Facebook group. I think I've posted them in there, actually, the Grind to Greatness one. But there's a lot of sites that post remote jobs. So you can take that approach. To be honest, it's very competitive and a lot of remote opportunities aren't posted. And to be honest, I think you'd have better luck reaching out to companies and, you know, providing value and seeing where you fit in and how, you know, what opportunities lie. Again, we have a participant right now and she reached out to a company, did a value add. They're really impressed. They didn't have anything posted, but they were like, oh yeah, we are looking for a marketing person. It's not necessarily posted. Yeah, I believe this is this one. And she sought out that opportunity and yeah, and now, you know, something may be transpiring from that. So you might have better luck. Just reaching out and seeking those opportunities, when you're applying for remote jobs, like it's very, very competitive and it's difficult. I think a big thing that people need to understand is that with the remote job world, it's not the traditional way. Like the traditional way is find a job, apply, get an interview, get the job. In the remote world, it's so much more about networking and reaching out and building your connections, so much more than the traditional approach. So it takes a lot more time and patience, and it takes more time, but it's well worth it because that's where the opportunities will come from. Even for me, I tried applying for remote jobs for like 3 months, nothing came through, which was surprising because if I wanted a location-based job, it was no problem at all for me to find something. And then it was as soon as I started, networking and talking with people within 2 weeks of just focusing on my networking, I landed a full-time marketing position. And that was just saying, networking. And again, my position wasn't posted and it came through the network. So be mindful of that. And that leads to the point of also surrounding yourself with the right people. I don't want to go too much down the rabbit hole, but for me, I just booked a one-way ticket, and people might see that as more risky. But when you're surrounded by remote workers, you get more remote work opportunities, right? When you're in a traditional environment, you're really trying to force something that doesn't work in that environment. If people are 9-to-5 workers, that's what you're going to find, right, in that environment. So you need to change the environment. But yeah, so Gonzalo, so where do you go? I mean, there's a ton of sites. I'll list them. Like FlexJobs is a big one. We work remotely, Remote OK. There's a bunch of sites. When you're looking for remote jobs, also, like if you're typing in Google, don't put like work from home jobs or you'll get those scammy ones. Use terms such as remote teams, distributed teams, telecommute jobs. Those are the keywords you'll want to use. So that's how you find them. You can, again, I suggest just finding the opportunities yourself and reaching out to people. And then, so if you take that approach that I just explained, the pricing thing doesn't really matter anymore. If you're, say, on Upwork and you're like, here's my skill set, and there's like 15 other people with the same skill set, and one's charging $5 and one's charging like $50, then it really almost, at that point, it's almost like this numbers game. But when you're reaching out and you're building that relationship and you're adding the value, it doesn't really become about, but this person's cheaper, because they see that you're a really hard worker, you've gone above and beyond, you've already proved yourself to them. So at that point, you don't get into that pricing competition. Upwork's great to get like a bit of experience if you don't have it, get your first few clients so you can get testimonials, but it's not necessarily like the best long-term strategy per se. I think you'll be more effective reaching out to people specifically. Okay, sorry, I know this is like a mouthful. I'll have to like slow down this video so it's not me talking so fast. Gonzalo, if you have any other questions on that, let me know. And yeah, you can put it for next Wednesday with WiFly, put it in the Grind to Greatness Facebook group. I'll respond to it there. But yeah, let me know if you have any more questions on that. So our next one is from Crystal. So Crystal's saying, I need help finding a remote job that isn't tech or design or sales based, as I don't have any of those skills. So this, again, is another great question that I see so many times. Like people will say, I want to work remotely, but my job doesn't go remote. It's not a remote type job. And there I just instantly get frustrated, because it's like, well, you have to get creative. Anything can be remote for the most part. Freelance. I've seen, personal trainers go remote. And how do they go remote? They, do coach. They do their sessions via video, or they'll sell online courses or programs. You get creative, right? It's just so funny. I see it so often. People are like, I'm in this industry, or I do this, but it's not, I couldn't do it remote. It's like, well, really? Could you not? Are you spending 90% of the time on your computer? Yeah. Okay. Chances are you can go remote. And if you're not spending 90% of your time on the computer, you can get creative and find a way to make it remote. But specific to your question, Crystal, you're saying that you're not in tech design or sales. So when I was applying for remote jobs, I had the same sort of fear. I was like, oh my God, I'm a project manager and all these people are like developers and designers and I'm super not techie like that. How am I going to find something? All these people are very technical. The thing is that you don't necessarily have to have a technical job that's to be remote. Of course, they're high in demand, the designers, developers, that sort of thing. But that's not necessary to land a remote job. One site that I like for finding just like normal positions is Flex Jobs. They post more like everyday type jobs beyond just like designers and developers. Like you'll find the most diverse group of remote jobs there. So that can give you an idea of what type of jobs can be done remotely. So Flex Jobs is good for for positions that are remote that are beyond the tech stuff. And then, yeah, it's a balance. I mean, Crystal, it'll be good to know more about your background, but I guess the best way I can answer that without knowing your background is saying, get creative. Look at your skill set. What are your skills? Can I get creative and bring this remote in any sort of way? And don't limit your thinking. So many people instantly say, oh, well, no, because I'm a personal trainer and I have to be at the gym, so I can't. It's like, no, get creative. There's been personal trainers that have gone remote and they've done so by bringing it online, building this brand online, whatever it may be. So get creative and don't have that limiting mindset. Anything is possible. You can create anything remote. So look at your current skills. Look at where there's a need as well. So, okay, these are my skills. These are what I've been paid for in the past. Then look at the needs. Okay, what jobs are people looking for, right? So you could say, say personal training. I'll just use that as an example. So say you are a personal trainer. You're like, all right, I want to go online. I want to go remote. Are people looking for help in fitness, right? So you can just easily Googling and seeing, I guess, you know what, a good example to use is, so Daniel DiPiazza, he was a guest speaker in WiFly just recently on our program, and he used the example of his girlfriend. So his girlfriend's a dog walker. So she said, okay, I have this skill set. I walk dogs. Now I want to know, is there a need? So she Googled like dog walkers in LA or wherever they live in LA. And there was tons of people being like, promoting that they're dog walkers. So obviously there's a market there. Like people are paying for it. And then reading the reviews of like, okay, what are people saying about these dog walkers? Is there an area where they're getting frustrated or things they don't like or things they like? So do your research. So looking at your skill set, then looking at where there's needs to be filled. And then seeing, okay, how can I transition that to an online opportunity? Again, depending on your skill set, sometimes you just have to upskill. Like for me, I started in project management at an advertising agency, and I was doing like the traditional like TV, billboard, radio stuff. And then in my mind, I was like, all right, everything's going online. So then I became a project manager at a web development and design place. And that helped me skill up a bit and become more familiar with the online world. So I was developing my skill. And then from there, I went to online marketing because my skills were very transferable. So the skills that I was using in project management, I used a lot of marketing skills there as well. And I had done marketing reports and strategies. So I thought, okay, I can't yes, I could bring project management online. That's fine. But I wanted to, it was very competitive and difficult. So I thought, okay, I have this marketing skill set. I can use these skills and sort of like transition what I'm doing. So still bringing the skills I've been using, but use it in a new way. So look at the skills that you have and perhaps you can use them in a new way. Perhaps it's a little bit of upskilling. When I transitioned to online marketing, I was like, all right, I did a few like HubSpot certifications just to really take it a step further, my skill set. Again, I wasn't starting from scratch because I had the online marketing experience, but I wanted to bring my marketing skills more online and just, for the confidence and whatnot. So yeah, it depends. Crystal, let me know either in the Facebook group or for next Wednesdays with WiFly, let me know what your background is, and yeah, maybe I can offer you some suggestions. But it's, again, getting creative. Don't be limited with your creativity. You'll be surprised. I've seen plumbers. You would think a plumber couldn't go remote. FlexJobs, I saw a posting for they were hiring plumbers to write blogs because they needed someone with the plumbing knowledge in order to write. So they didn't necessarily care if you're a good writer. They just needed someone that understood plumbing. So if a plumber can go remote, like, you can get creative and find something. Again, building your personal brand like a freelancer or contractor is honestly probably your best bet. That way you can build it up. You can do like a few clients on Upwork for free just to get testimonials, and then you build up and you can start small and grow your skill set. I know developers, when they start out, they just do like small little projects, and then as they're learning, they take on bigger and bigger projects, and so they sort of learn as they go, and grow. As long as you know just a bit more than the client, and you can provide that value, then you're in a good spot. Okay. Again, I'll try to speak a little slower next time. I just want to make sure I try to get as much of this information to you guys. Okay, we also had a few come through. A bunch of people are asking when our next program is going to be running as well. So we're going to be announcing that to the public very soon. I will tell you, 2018, early 2018, just without saying too much, because we haven't officially announced our launch. We do have the waitlist up now. People who are on the waitlist will be given priority when we open applications. So if you're keen for that, get on the waitlist. They'll get the exclusive. They'll know when the applications are launching before anyone else. So yeah, if you're interested, get on the wait list. We're going to be announcing our new dates very soon. And hold on, let me pop in one more here. I apologize again, my nose is, I'm very still again recovering from a cold in Bali, which is so ironic because it's so warm here. Hold on, let me just pull up the other one here. Okay, so this might get a bit long because I know we have a few more and they're kind of very in-depth questions, but I will do my best here. Okay, so the next one, we had one from Shanice asking how to find better and bigger clients in freelancing. So this is a very interesting point. So as you know, I've already explained, the approach for reaching out. The biggest mistake I see when people are trying to find remote opportunities is being like, hey, I see you're remote and, I want to be remote, so this will be a perfect fit. Just don't do that. It's all about, make it about them, the client, providing value to them. And you have to be sure that you're looking for the right clients in order to get those bigger and better clients. And sometimes it's trial and error. Okay, I'm going to try this industry, see what they're like. Okay, this industry is really cheapskates. And then you have others where, for example, again, Daniel, he was reaching out to, I think, dentists or something when he started his freelancing because they have a lot of money and they're just don't want to be involved. They're like, here, there's the money, just do it, get it done. So sometimes it depends on your industry or your niche and what you're offering. So there are a lot of factors. One of the things that I will say, though, to be honest, is it's a lot about mindset. As much as you think no, because clients are just saying it's too expensive and they won't pay the money. It's really about mindset. This is a whole topic we could dive into, and maybe this is a whole other video I create, but if you truly if you believe that you're charging a price and you're ooh, it kind of feels expensive, clients will pick up on that. The biggest thing that we explain to the participants on WiFly is that you need to look at your services as what value am I providing? And when you go to clients, don't go and say, oh, okay, I do this and I charge, say, $30 an hour. Because then all of a sudden you're exchanging your time for money, and they're always going to try to talk down your hourly rate. don't make it about the hourly rate, make it about the value you provide. So saying like, okay, here's what I can do for you, here's the value I'm going to provide, here's how it impacts your bottom line, and this is the fee I'm going to charge for that, then they're more inclined. I have a friend that makes, oh my God, he makes like something insane, like $100 or hundreds of dollars an hour. And I was like, how on earth do you convince a client to give you that much money? And he says the way he explains it is he's like a developer and he creates funnels, right? So get someone in the funnel and get them to convert to a buying customer. So he says, okay, I go to my clients and I know that if they convert a customer, if they get a customer that's worth like, say, $500 to them. So if they get, say like, X amount of clients, they're making X amount of dollars, right? So the way he words it is, I'm going to create this system. This system is going to give you X amount of clients, which is going to generate X amount of money. So say it's like, okay, what I'm going to do for you is going to generate you 100,000 in revenue, but I'm only going to charge you 20,000. So they're like, oh, of course, that makes sense. I'm going to pay you 20,000, but I'm going to get 100,000. That's a no-brainer. But then the good part with that is that means that he can charge 20,000, and that means that he can be making $100 to $200 an hour because he's focused on the value and the bottom line that he's providing. So one of the things I would suggest in terms of trying to get bigger and better clients is don't focus on your hourly rate, focus on the value, the bottom line, and you'll see much better impact. Shanice, let me know again what exactly you do, because maybe I can tie this example more, if you're not a marketer or a developer, maybe I can tie this more to your specific situation. But yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing. Again, money mindset's huge. If you think clients are going to think it's too expensive, they will. If you think, nope, this is very well worth it, then, you give off that energy. Some books to keep in mind. Jen Sincero has a book about money mindset. And I'm reading one now, The Millionaire Mindset by T. Harv Eker. It's really amazing as well. It will shift your thinking about money. And really, once you develop your money mindset, you'll be more comfortable and confident attracting those clients. It's just weird how it works. Like when you're ready and your mind's in the right frame, it sort of happens. But when you're like, again, and you're in this set of like, I know everyone's not paying enough, blah, 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 you're going to attract more of that. You attract what you focus on. And if you focus on, there's so many low paying clients, you're going to attract more of that. If you are focusing on, there are clients out there, like there are clients that will pay the money, right? It's just a matter of attracting them and finding them. So I would suggest definitely, I'm not sure what your money mindset is at. Read those books if you're, I thought I had like a decent money mindset. And the more I dove into this area, I realized, oh, wow, I had a lot of work to do. So definitely check out those books. And again, focus on the value you provide, and you'll definitely be able to get so much more money when you're doing it. You're getting paid based on value versus an hourly rate. So keep that in mind. And I'd be curious, are you currently approaching clients in a way that is hourly rate? I'd be curious to know that. Okay, so one more here before we wrap up. So Jules is saying business models. Okay, I have ideas for things I want to do, but how do I make money with it? Okay, you sent me a message about coaching and how to make that work. Okay, so I will respond to that coaching message. Okay, so this is a bit of a loaded question, but I'll try to answer it. Okay, so there's a lot of ways you can make money online. And I mean, how do I make money? I have ideas for things I want to do, but how do I make money? Maybe I should read your longer message before answering this. But pretty much, I mean, especially with coaching, what I can say is once you build a personal brand, there are a million ways you can make money. Like for me, I started the Remote Nomad blog, and it did really well. It was in like CNN and BBC and Fast Company. And so I established that brand. And once I established that brand, I have income from so many different ways. Like coaching is a way, helping people coach. WiFly was a result of my brand with WiFly Nomads. So I said, okay, I have this brand. I'm established as an expert in, this remote work. So how do I monetize it? So I monetized it by coaching. I monetized it by creating an in-person program. I monetized it by affiliate links on a blog. I could do online worksheets and online courses, and I could charge for those as well. So once you have a brand, you're in a great position and power to just try all these things that allows you to earn income online. There's so many different ways you can earn revenue streams. You could, yeah, it could get to the point where you're writing a book. Once you have that brand, and it seems like you're doing like a brand as a coach, there's tons of ways you can monetize it. You could do group coaching, you could do single coaching, you could do worksheets, you could do like 6-week programs online. It could be anything really. So how do you make money? I mean, again, so those are just some ideas of how you could make money. But business models. When you say business models, that's a bit different than what you're asking here. Ideas for things. Yeah, so I think that answers your question. But what you want to do is when you're starting a business, you want to get clarity on a few factors. Your revenue streams, which we kind of touched on right now. You want to look at, revenue streams, who your customers are. Make sure you understand who they are so that you're speaking to them in your marketing messaging. Know that people are more emotional beings than logical. So when you're conveying what you're doing, look at that. Look at what your expenses are going to be for the business and have an understanding of that. Look if there's any key partners that you have in your relationship. Look at what channels you're going to reach your audience on. So, we like to suggest just pick one or two and do them really well. Don't try to be like, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all this, right? Just like pick one and excel at it. Do be mindful, however, that algorithms always change, and everyone knows Instagram, like even the Instagrammers, like their engagement's just dropping because Instagram's a-holes and they're changing their algorithms so it doesn't help the influencers. So understand that the best thing that you can do is capture an email, because when you have an email, you control that data. You own that data. You can reach out to anyone at any point in time. But when you have like YouTube did the same thing. They were like, oh, all of a sudden we changed things, and now, even when you post a YouTube video, even if someone's subscribed, they're not necessarily getting pushed your information. And technically they should if they've subscribed, right? But once you have that email, you control what they see, when they see it. So always try to capture those emails as well. But yeah, I would just get like even just a piece of paper and jot down these key areas of the business, so that, writing things down, or even just on your computer, just getting it from your head onto paper, really clear and organize everything. Again, you want expenses, you want to know your revenue streams, who your customers are, how you stand out, how you're different. If you have any sort of like key partners, looking at the core areas of business. If someone was doing like a Shopify store, you'd look at like, your operations of like how it goes from me to the customer, but it seems like you're doing more service-based. Jules, let me know if that answers your question. I'm going to read your longer message, and I may actually do a video response to that too. It might help everyone else as well. But I think the big thing that you are asking there is sort of like how you make money at it. And again, a lot of it is like, if you can just build that brand, and build that relationship and build your audience, even your audience will tell you what they want. Like when I had the Remote Nomad blog, people reach out to me all the time, and it was, how do I get a remote job? How do I get started living this lifestyle? All over, same questions. And I saw a pattern, and that's why I created WiFly, to answer those two main questions, right? So build those relationships, have those conversations. I still do. I'd get on these calls for like an hour and just talk to people and help them and learn more about them. And by doing that, I'm learning, here's where you're struggling. Okay, how can I provide value? How can I, create a service that, helps add value to these people and with these pain points? I hope that helps. If you have more, if you want me to elaborate or you have more specific on that, Jules, let me know, and I will answer that. Another thing too, just like don't overthink it. Yes, plan, be smart, but at the same time, action is more important than inaction. It's better you start just doing stuff than overthinking and doing nothing. It's a big thing we focus on at WiFly, like action, just like something. You just have to be actually doing something beyond just overthinking it. Um, Even with my blog, The Remote Nomad, if I started once I felt ready, like I was a writer, and once everything was like perfect and good to go, I probably would have started it like, I don't know if I'd even have started it by now, to be honest. But I just started putting the content out there. I was like, you know what, whatever, I'm just putting it out. I don't care if it's perfect. I had to let go of that perfectionism and just put it out there. And now it's in all these big publications. And now I have a company based of like a spin-off of that. So you'll get so much further by just taking action than overthinking and overplanning. Anyways, I just want to thank all of you for submitting your questions. I hope you guys found value in this. Again, every Wednesday is Wednesdays with WiFly. So at any point in time, send me an email at kate@wiflynomads.com or put it in the Grind to Greatness Facebook group. And we'll answer all your questions, anything related to this lifestyle. We're here to help you and give you all the support you need to get started. So please don't hesitate. Everyone else whose questions I answered tonight, if you want to send more in or you have a follow-up to your question, please send it through. Everyone gets value in hearing these different perspectives and these different questions. A lot of people have similar questions to you guys, so it's good that you ask these so that, I'm sure I've answered questions by answering your questions, it's answered a lot of questions for other people as well. Anyways, guys, so I guess that's it. Happy Wednesday. I guess it's getting near the end of the day there. It's still midday here in Bali. So thanks again, and we will be catching you next Wednesday for another Wednesdays with WiFly. Bye from Bali, guys. We will talk to you soon in the Facebook group. Bye.